Alrighty, everybody, we are back and we're continuing the Drama Unfolds 3D printing race, another mask, and a pistol print. That's what we're doing today. I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, coming to you live from South Korea. Yeah, American expat in Korea. Retired, so I got lots of time to do 3D printing stuff. So, with that being said, thanks for dropping by and checking out the video. Excuse me. So much drama, it's making me sick. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. We're getting to the point now where no matter where you go, there's going to be a little bit of drama. Now, Zombie Hunter is up and running. Zombie, hey, how's it going? Doing good. Yeah, I belong to some pages on, let me zoom this in a little bit. I belong to some pages on social media, Facebook, and some different pages like 3D printing, beginner and newbie, and pro 3D printing tips and tricks, and a variety of different pages. And what I ended up doing is printing out the Ripper mask that we see here. And that was a free model on printables by Borderlands. In other words, what they ended up doing is they hired somebody to make the Ripper mask, and then they posted it on their Borderlands page on printables, and boom, I was able to print it out. It's free, doing it for personal use, and yeah, posted pictures of the beginning, when it's printed and then primed, and then different levels of the painting process, which turned out way better than expected. And with that, I am amazed of the drama. And generally I like the 3D printing hobby page stuff because the painting pages, because there's a lack of drama. There's a lack of people trying to one up you or to try to be that and all that in a bag of chips. But recently that's been disproven on the 3D printer pages. Now the miniature painting and the figure painting, I haven't had any drama. Of course, I kind of enjoy that. But I was really amazed at the 3D printing drama that I ran across. And unfortunately, when I posted pictures of this saying, hey, this Ripper mask is pretty hot, this is the process I'm going through, it's turning out better than expected, I got a lot of comments. And then I got a handful of people that were like, that's IP infringement. Facebook groups are you in? That's a good question. Let's see if I can bring that up. I belong to, and I can actually bring this up. I guess I can show you because I don't mind. But where's my desktop? Boom, there's the desktop. So anyway, my page is The Varied Life, and so if I end up, I think I can do that, yeah, The Varied Life, and yeah, so I kind of do some stuff there, I throw pictures. Mostly on the Facebook page is just stuff that I've done for printing, and again, you can see I just kind of, it's just an outlet for hobby stuff for the most part. But with that, according to the groups, I belong to the Creality official K2 series group, the Camp Humphrey Nerds United, which is a military base close by, so I belong to that. The Creality official store, I love to 3D print, cosplay builders, 3D printing for beginners, K2 series, that one, 3D printing beginners and pros, Creality K2 plus mods and tricks, but I don't do a lot of stuff there. Galactic Armory, Patreon build, 3D printing files, which I haven't really done much. Form Fitter 3D cosplay scaling, which is the Galactic Armory Form Fitter cosplay scaling program that they're going to be coming out with. Maker World, and fast 3D printing helmet and mask cosplay, and then some 3D printing side hustle group, 3D printing community, I just recently joined that. Yeah, be kind and courteous, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So really, not a lot of groups, but enough groups to the point of where, I post some stuff and got some people that were like, "Ooh, intellectual property infringement," and I'm like, and then they go through this diatribe in this comment, and it's like, "How dare you? We need to protect artists," and blah 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 blah, and it's like, excuse me, this is personal use. I don't sell anything. And it's like, there's nothing. Even if you read the text and my post, it doesn't imply. I had somebody go, "Oh, you're passively aggressively advertising," and it's like, yeah, of course, my page is called The Varied Life, which if you do a search, eventually you get to the YouTube page because I'm trying to grow the YouTube page. But I'm not selling prints. And it's not intellectual property infringement because the Borderland mask is free. Borderlands put this out, put this print right here that you can do, download it for free and do whatever you want. So as far as protecting the artist and the creator of that file, Borderlands paid somebody to do it, so that's it. There is no intellectual property infringement. I also printed out, for those of you who know that I print out this mask, and this is from Galactic Armory. Now with that, I belong to Galactic Armory Patreon, which is like $15 a month. So, I wanted to get the Warhammer helmet and stuff like that, the Chaplain helmet, and that was pretty much it. But I just kind of let it lapse, and then they released this, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll print this out. This is for personal use. So where's the infringement? I don't get it. And I'm just amazed at how some people went kind of, "How dare you, blah, 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 blah," the whole 9 yards. And I was like, really? Where do you get this from? Maybe it would have been better to ask if I sell anything, which I don't. If I do at some later time get into printing stuff for people, I will do a print service. I'm not going to do, I'm not going to take creations and then buy the file and then print them out for people if I don't have the authorization to do so. So, yeah, there it is. But yeah, a little bit of drama going on. And it's like, I'm amazed at how people assume, the wrong or the bad thing. "Oh, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. We need to protect authors." And you know what? I just don't roll that way. And again, all of this stuff is for personal use. So anyway, we got that going on. He just sent a bunch of pictures on Messenger. Well, let me check the Messenger. And cool. I'll accept. And there they are. And ooh, we got some pictures. Wow, dude, you got some cool stuff. I don't know if is it okay if I show these on the stream here? Those are pretty cool. That is some good stuff. And is that C3PO actor? What's the guy's name? Daniels. Is that his signature on that? That is cool. Darth Vader, R2-D2. Ooh, we got the little droid, life-size droid. Wow, that's some cool stuff. I like that. All right, it's cool to show. Okay. Oh. Let's get at it. We have Zombie Hunter doing the Yoda bit there. That's an awesome job. I like that. Man, great job on that. Let's see, the next one is C3PO, and is that by, it's signed, so I'm assuming it's the dude that played C3PO, somebody Daniels, Anthony Daniels, or whatever it was, if I remember correctly. It was so long ago that I saw Star Wars. I remember going and seeing Star Wars in 1977 when it first came out. It was kind of wild. George is that. And Zombie Hunter said, yeah, he signed it. It was C3PO bust I made for a guy and he got it signed. Wow, that is cool. That is cool. Let's see, we got another one. Zombie Hunter's been killing it. Ooh. Got the Darth Vader. Look at that. Ooh, nice. Good paint job. Anthony Daniels. Yes, it is. That's good too. Wow. Let's see, what else do we got here? He also has, ooh, a sweet and clean R2-D2. Let me resize this. Look at that. Ooh, that is clean. Wow. Paint job is great. Man, you're on it. Ooh, and he's got R2-D2 and this dude here, the little droid. I gotta resize everything. Sorry. Get rid of that one. Wow. Man, that's some great work there, bro. Life size too. I like that. That looks so neat. All are 3D printed. That is cool. Let's see. We got another one. Got another one of him. Little droid sitting up on the top of the world. That is cool. Nice, 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 nice. That is some good stuff. Wow. And, oh, he's even got the, yeah, the pit droid. Pit droid, that's what it was, the pit droid. That is pretty cool. Nice. That's a great job. Oh, and here's your big one. Oh, look at this. We've got the carbonite, the Han Solo carbonite. Wow, that's going to be impressive when you get that. That is going to be nice. Cool stuff. Man, that's great. Awesome. That is so cool. When you can, I mean, things that were unimaginable. I mean, it would take, could you imagine the technology that we have now with 3D printers, just that, and throw that back into 1976, you know, when they were making Star Wars, instead of having to, like, I mean, you could print out stuff in record time. You know, it's just amazing. I mean, it makes little stuff like this, like child's play when you start doing life-size stuff. But that's on my bucket list, is do some life-size stuff. But, man, that's great work there, Zombie Hunter. Man. Yeah, nice pit droid. Yeah. Man, I love the 3D printing thing. It's just really, I think for me anyway, it's a way to be creative and stay active and do something, you know, make something, do something. I can't just be retired and sit on a beach. I mean, I can do that, you know, for a while, but I have to do something. You know, I have to be busy. Otherwise I just get bored and lazy, and that's not a good combination. So, yeah, awesome stuff you got there, bro. That is incredible. So, anyway, yeah, the whole thing, I can imagine you posting that stuff, and, ooh, intellectual IP infringement, ooh, burn them at the stake. I mean, there always seems to be people like that, but I was really surprised because this is the first time that I've run into people like that, where they don't even have the courtesy to ask you if you sell anything. They just assume that because I did this, that I'm selling it and I'm making money, and assuming that Borderlands doesn't allow, but it's for open source, so I don't get it. Um, wow, crazy stuff. George says that would take me 2 years to carve and mold. Yeah, but you would be busy during those 2 years. Idle hands are the devil's workshop or playground or whatever it is. Zombie ends up saying it took about 6 or so months of solid printing to print all the parts for R2. Wow. On one printer. That's a dedication. That is some dedication. And I've got one printer, and the problem is I get squirrel moments where it's like, ooh, look at this, and then print that, and then, ooh, look at that over there, I'm going to print that, and ooh, this over here, I'm going to print that. I have these squirrel moments in ADHD or whatever it is, but I've got one printer, so, and I'm type of the person that wants to do things, do it, and get it done, and then move on. I'm very linear. I'm very, 1, 2, 3, 4 by the numbers type of person. So trying to go back and forth between different things, especially a long print, something like that, or the Hulk that I want to end up doing there, the 5-foot Hulk. I think I'm going to have to wait for another printer to do that. But that is incredible. That's some dedication and consistency, bro. I just post my stuff and people reach out to me and make them stuff. Yeah, that's cool. And eventually, I hope to do the same thing. I hope to, eventually do a print service. I don't want to take anybody's files and then, sell them, and then, when I'm not authorized to do so, don't have commercial rights and stuff like that. That just seems like kind of squirrely for me. So as a print service, the customer provides the file and I print it, and boom, they pay me for printing it out. They buy the file or they give me the file, and I don't have to worry about all that stuff. So, the onus is on them to do that. Zombie ends up saying, I printed the R2 on an Ender 3 Max. Wow. And so very, very slow. Man, wow, I could imagine that. And did you have any failed prints in the process of building your R2? Because I know I've been printing out some more Borderlands stuff, and have like 5 or 6, 7 things on the plate, and then one of the things fails, and it's just like, or 2 of the things failed. Like recently, I've been doing a Borderlands rifle, and the last 2 things, it was like the last 10% or whatever it was like 97%, but it was enough that the filament ran out on my 2.5 kilogram spool. It ran out, and then I was an idiot. I ended up putting another reel on there, but it was a different profile, a different filament that needed a different profile, and I wasn't thinking. It was late night, and it's just, I'll just slap this in there, and it didn't print. And then, of course, I lost the ability to continue the print, and there was a clog, and yeah, it was ugly. So I had to reprint those 2 things. So that's what I got printed out now with another spool. Zombie says, yeah, I reprinted the dome because it wasn't happy how it came out. That's still impressive, though. Wow. That is impressive. I mean, that's some high quality stuff there. And yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Eventually I'm going to print out the Hulk. Again, that's on the bucket list to do. So, but yeah, I think I need to stick with just one filament. I've got some colored Creality Hyper PLA colors for different stuff. And honestly, I'm not really into printing into colors. I've got the AMS or the CFS, Creality filament Hoosie thing or whatever. And it's nice to be able to have 4 spools, but I like that 2.5 kilogram spool because I can do bigger prints and not have to worry about changing out or anything like that. The only problem I have is changing out spools on the side spool holder of the Creality K2 Plus. So yeah, that's some fun stuff. Zombie Hunter says R2 has lights in there and is remote controlled too. Runs off Xbox 360 controller. Really? Whoa, man, that is cool. That is some cool stuff. Wow. I'm just dipping into LED stuff. I got some LEDs, and I've had it, with like a battery pack with 4 AA batteries, so I can do little LEDs. But I haven't dipped into that at all. And hopefully, I will end up doing that with the Doomslayer mask. So, and it'd be cool to do something. This is a recent print that I just finished. This is a Borderlands pistol that I printed out, and yeah, that would be pretty cool to add some LED lights or something like that. Of course, you'd have to hollow out some stuff. Zombie Hunter says his R2 has sounds and music. Dude, that's awesome. Nice. George says, I just tried silk tonight. It is nice, but I have to have a specific purpose for to use it. I haven't tried silk at all. I pretty much just stuck with, I printed PETG and I printed PLA, Creality Hyper PLA, Polymaker PLA, which is what this is printed out on, and you can see the results are pretty good and nice. So this I'll probably, I do have to do, I'm printing out the other side of this. So this piece right here, I got to print another one out because I glued it in the wrong place because I was an idiot. So, but yeah, this is going to be the wife's pistol that we got there. So I'll paint this up, and I'm thinking about doing the pistol grip like with some brown, and then have brown with silver, and then some silver on this back here. And so I could try to make it a little bit more colorful. And then just to kind of make it more Borderlandsy-like. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this turned out pretty good. And it'd be cool to do, like, now in retrospect, talking about LEDs, this is a tactical light. It'd be cool to put an LED there, and then, that would have been a thing. So maybe, a couple, some lights on the side or something like that. That would be cool to have a diffuser. So, but yeah, this turned out pretty good. I like it. It came out good, and I think painting it, I wanted to do something quick because I printed out I printed out this mask, and this is the finished product. And so I added a UV, obviously a high gloss varnish on there, and to seal everything in. I thought about doing satin or kind of a matte varnish to seal this all up, but the UV stuff, I was like, hey, if I'm going to use this for a while. And then I also was thinking about the high gloss and how it reflects the light, and so you get kind of the light bouncing off of there, so you kind of get like that cell shading or the cell light that comes on there, and I thought that was really cool. I took a gamble on that, and it turned out really nice. So this one's going to be mine, and I ended up doing some straps. I printed out some buckles there. It turned out really good, and then I just hot glued some elastic straps, so 3/4 inch or whatever. So this turned out really good. So we're testing this out and seeing how this will happen. Yeah, so it turned out really good. Let's see, what else do we got? Zombie says, I have very limited experience in electronics, but everything made up. The programming is all ready, and there's videos on YouTube to put the electronics together. Ooh, cool. You gotta love YouTube. You got anything that you want to learn how to do, from putting in a toilet to making R2-D2 come alive, and everything in between, you can find it on YouTube. So that's cool. The gun came out great. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be cool to paint. I want to really do a good job on that, because the pistol is going to be the wife. You can drill a hole and put a laser pointer under the barrel of the gun. Oh yes. That is a possibility. Then I'd have to do a switch. Yeah, I could drill that out pretty easy. And even, I could probably just put like one LED if I didn't want to do a laser. I could put like one LED and maybe a AAA battery and an LED in there with a simple switch or whatever. There's so much stuff you could do. Oh man. So, but I want to try to get all this done before the end of October. So for Halloween, the wife and I are going to walk around and in our ripper mask. This is going to be her pistol, and so I'm going to paint this up, and maybe I'll paint it, you know, like with the brown, the silver. We'll do some silver up here, and then some other color. I don't know, damage it a little bit. Maybe put a little Hello Kitty or something. I think that'd look really cool. But yeah, so many things you could do, which would be awesome. George says, I wish I could paint like that. My hands just are not steady enough for it. Yeah. When I was painting this up, and I'm starting to get shakes myself, so especially this thumb will shake, or the hand will shake a little bit. So I was like going through it on the video that I'm making, it's kind of like shaking, and so finally I just set it down, and I'm using both hands to keep everything steady. But even then, yeah, it could be a little frustrating. I get that. Give it a shot. And here is the second ripper mask. And oh, the mask looks amazing. Thank you. Yeah, this mask came out way better than I expected. You know, with the rust and everything on there, and how that turned out, and then the high gloss on that. So yeah, this came out really good. And I thought about going through and even doing, you know, some line work around the edges, which I still might do. Then I might have to reseal it, but that's not a big deal. But you know, just Sharpie. I mean, that's what I did for these lines here. These black lines was just a Sharpie. So turned out fairly well. George says, yeah, Caesars won't allow for fine details. I'm sorry, that sucks. Caesars suck. So anyway, this is going to be the wife's mask, and what I ended up doing is we did like a coat of primer on there, let that dry, and then I came back with the sand color, and I just one big coat, and that's how that turned out. Yeah, you got some layer lines, but I don't really care. And then what I ended up doing is taping off the tan with some tape and some paper. I got a little bit of overspray on there. But then I just used a spray can to do the black, you know, like a coat and a half to get some of the underside and stuff like that. And basically that's done. So instead of hand brushing the black, just doing the spray can bit saved me a ton of time. So, you know, how long does it take to shake up a can of primer, do a coat, you know, one big coat, maybe 2 minutes, and then the tan, after the primer dried, again, another 2 minutes, and then it took me like 5 minutes to tape off the tan, and then to spray the black, that was another 2 minutes. So this is greatly reduced the amount of time it takes to make. And this one's going to be the wife, so I resized this, you know, made it narrow for her face and everything. And I think what we're going to end up doing is going with a red, and then we'll do that. So yeah, her mask is going to turn out pretty good. So we got that. Still needs to dry a little bit. You can feel it still needs to set, so we'll let that dry out. But yeah, that stuff turned out really good. And I'm printing out the rifle, and I'll show you all the master file. So let's just go ahead and jump into that. And what I ended up doing is let me see if, seriously, let's go. New version. I'll update that later after I finish printing the rifle, because that has happened to me before where it ends up, it's like, oh sure, update, and then had problems and stuff like that. But let's see, Creality Prints, recent project, boom, Ripper mask. And I've added stuff to the Ripper mask. So it was originally just the Ripper mask, and then it grew and grew and grew. And man, this is slow, slow, slow. Okay, there we go. So yeah, originally it was just the Ripper mask. So I did that and sized that up. And then we went on to that Ripper mask, which is a one piece. This is the one from Galactic Armory. And then this was the wife's mask. So resize that to fit her. And then I ended up doing these buckles, which actually turned out pretty good for 3/4 inch. And then I did the plate for the pistol. So I printed all that stuff out, and then printed the second plate of the pistol. So we did that, but I had a failed print because I screwed up. And this is going to be the rifle. So this is also from Borderlands on Printables, which is a free file as well. So that was like going to take a while. I think that was like 16 hours, 15 hours, something like that. And then the other part of the rifle is this one here, except for this part right here, which is the replacement piece that I need to print for the pistol. But there's the rest of that, and I think that's going to come out really good. So again, I just left it at a 0.16 layer height, so to minimize the amount of post-processing time, and I did like 4 walls, I think 4 walls on this, and then like a 10% infill, 0.16, and adaptive cubic 10% infill. So I'm trying the adaptive cubic to see how that works out. It seems like it's pretty good, and that's what I ended up doing for this, and it is pretty solid. I mean, it's in some places it's got a tiny bit of a bend, you know, but for the most part, I think this is totally good for this cosplay pistol, and we'll see how the rifle goes after I get this glued together, or get that glued together. But the pistol turns out pretty good. So, and again, I'm really happy with this. So the 0.16 layer height is good, and the difference, that was something else. I had somebody come on one of the pages and tell me that, you know, basically I'm doing it wrong. It's like, you know, the guy said, "Ooh, it takes too much time, you know, by doing it at 0.16, and he goes, you know, especially if you're doing it for money, which I'm not. But even if I was selling the prints for money, the amount of time that it's going to take, so I wrote it down here, at 0.2 layer height, doing that Ripper mask, you know, this one here with the respirators, would take 15 hours and 52 minutes. So, and at 0.16, it's 19 hours and 52 minutes by just changing the layer height. So it's an additional 4 hours. But in my experience, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, but there's minimal, or there's significantly less sanding and filling that I have to do, or filling and sanding, with the 0.16 versus the 0.2 layer height. So is the 4 hours being lost, or am I actually saving some time by not having to do so much filling and sanding? And of course you throw in some variable layer height to, you know, minimize the, you know, the rings and stuff on the top of the models. I don't see it's that big of a deal. And again, if I'm doing a print and it takes an extra 4 hours, let's say I want the print to finish at 8 in the morning, back up another 4 hours, and then back up another 15 hours. It's going to be printing when I'm asleep anyway. So who cares? It's not business oriented. I understand time is money, but in the grand scheme of things, if I print this, it's going to be at night. It's going to be sleep when I'm asleep. I have one printer. It's not like I have people beating down my door and I'm trying to get prints out or anything. With that, George says, my friend wants me to print him a Witch King of Angmar helmet that he will assemble and paint. Oh, that'd be cool. That would be cool. And that's kind of eventually what I would like to do, is do like a print service thing. Because then I don't have to worry about IP infringement or, dude gives me the file, I print it out for him and he pays and boom, that's it. So Zombie says, if you can let the printer do all the work instead of sanding, then it's worth it. That's what I'm thinking. That's and kind of, looking and doing the numbers, and then also how you paint, but really, because the difference between doing this and doing this took a total of, 4.5 hours to print without any of the breaks included, because I recorded everything and I just wanted to see how long it would take to paint this. But, just doing this black part, I saved 20 minutes by spray painting this instead of doing it by brush. And of course, your first one is always going to take longer, but this one is going to take way less time. And the fact that I don't have to fill it, I just do a couple coats of, filler primer paint, and it's a done deal. I think you're gonna make some money off of that, even if I was doing these and selling these or whatever. I think Zombie's absolutely right. Is that if I don't spend 1 or 2 hours sanding, that's a savings for me, because that's actual labor. that's sanding. That's materials for sanding. There's cleanup. You got to get a shop vac. There's dust everywhere. Have to have a respirator, a mask, wearing gloves, the whole 9 yards. When you can just pull out a spray can and you're good to go. Zombie says I mostly use spray cans. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing I like about this. Is you can get as detailed as you want, and I could probably paint the tan with a brush or an airbrush, but for something like this, a spray can, and you got so many different colors that are available, you can find something that works. 2 minutes later, your mask is painted. 4 minutes maybe, tops for this right here. For the colors. That includes shaking the spray can up. So, yeah, I understand there's things that business minded. Time is money, but again, kind of like what Zombie said, on the back end and the post processing is where you're going to save the time by using that lower layer height. And that makes me wonder, because with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, you can go down to 0.8. And so something like that ripper mask, let's go back and check that out. Zoom into here, and let's say we do this at 0.16, and we'll see, since this was the wife's mask, we'll see how long this took to print out with Polymaker PLA for production, matte black. And dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit. And my singing is horrible. But yeah, the difference between 0.2 and 0.16, I'm going to print 0.16. But this is 0.16. This should be like 15 hours. I think. And boom, 15 hours, 58 minutes. Nice. And if we put this at 0.8, and we will transfer all that over, and then we'll slice the plate at 0.8, and we'll see what's the difference. So 15, basically 16 hours. 0.8, I don't know if this would be, if it would be any better. I mean, obviously the layer lines would be a little bit better, but I just don't see if it's going to be a huge enough difference. This would be, what? 11 hours and 8 minutes? How is, oh, there's no, I was going to say, holy crow, there's no supports. It got me all excited. I was like, oh, I'm doing everything in 0.08. Yeah, you got to throw supports on there. Imagine that. What are the odds? And then that also begs the question on the orientation of the print as well. So with the higher the print, you're going to get, it's going to take more time. And this would be 19 hours and 40 minutes. So it's like the difference between 0.16 and 0.8 is like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. That's the difference. It's $11.56, 577 grams. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Throw in some variable layer height. That could be interesting. I heard a ding. What is the ding? Okay. But now I'm wondering about, so 0.8. That's not bad. Here's something else I wanted to check out. Oh, that was normal type of tree. We want to do tree auto on build plate only. So that was about the same. So if we do this, and I want to rotate this, I hate it when they don't put it square. You know what I mean? I really just don't like that. So let's say we do this. And because that's how it's printed now. And then if we rotate this way and to where it's like that, well, I guess what we can end up doing is this. There we go. So it's like that, and you're going to get some layer lines, some larger layer lines at the top there. I don't know if that would be good. But let's just process this and see how long it takes. Because at that 0.08 layer height, you're going to have minimal sanding or noticeable lines. Again, at the top you're going to get some. So we'll see how that goes. But my question is, since it's not as high, will this be less time? It's still the same amount of mass that you have to print. But I know in resin printing, the taller something is, if you can lay it down, then it takes a shorter amount of time. So anyway, yeah, some pretty cool stuff. We'll pop back in after that gets done. It's going to take a little bit, but yeah, the mass turned out really good. And again, we did some buckles on there, and yeah, we got the rust in there, and it turned out really, really good. turned out well. And the shading and the washes that we ended up doing, and again, some of the details on there. It took about 4.5 hours total painting time, no breaks or rests or anything. That's just physical painting time. And then some varnish, throw on. I didn't include that, so maybe it was like 4 hours and 27 minutes, so maybe 4 hours and 30 minutes. You know, another minute or two for the varnish, and then making the straps. That wasn't too long. And what I ended up doing is hot gluing these, so we'll see how long this lasts. So, but so far it's holding up pretty good. But man, why is this thing taking so long? Seriously. This is taking a long time. Oh, now it popped up. Now it's 75, 80. And again, this is on my Mac. I've got a Windows laptop that I use, but the Mac is so much easier to do this live stream stuff. Love that mask. Yeah, it turned out way better than expected. So, and boom. So here it is. Now it says it's 1 day, 2 hours and 55 minutes at the 0.8. Yeah, that's gonna be a minute. And 441. So let's put this at the 0.16. And we'll see how that goes. And 4 walls, enable support, true, build plate only. Yes, we'll transfer that over. And then we'll slice this again and see if there's a difference. Because at the 0.16, it's going to be 19 hours and 52 minutes. So basically 20 hours. And so the other one was 1 day and a few hours or whatever. So, I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. But I wonder about the orientation and see. But yeah, I'm hoping this other mask will turn out just as well. And the cool thing is, by doing the first mask, this one will take shorter amount of time. It'll be easier to do because when you do it the first time, you're always kind of unsure and you're a little slow. This time I can go through, like when I go on here, I'll do black. I'll do the little touch-ups, boom, hit that, do all these recesses, be able to knock that out in no time flat. You know, I'll dry brush silver, throw that on there. I'll do the little red graphic, and yeah, that'll go definitely a lot quicker. So now we got up. So when we orientate the mask like this, it's going to take 15 hours and 45 minutes. So again, the difference between basically 20 hours and 16 hours is 3 hours difference, but we're going to get some of that layer line stuff there. So, 4 hours, 4 hour difference. Is it really that big of a deal? I don't think so. I mean, it could be, but my issue would be right on the center of the face. Boom. That's where you're going to have that. But maybe if you went through and did like the variable layer height into where you get right there, and then just kind of jack that until you get that 0.8. And of course there I wouldn't be too concerned with, but just for grins and giggles. And then if we smooth that out, try 7, see what happens. I think that would be maxed out. So you might have to do a tiny bit of sanding But again, that difference, 4 extra hours, I don't know if that would be worth doing or not. But the orientation, because if you have to, I mean, the thing is with this, the little bit of, and you can see it on the top there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's very minimal. There you go. There you can see it right there. You can see those layer lines on that top. And do you really want that on the center of the forehead where you can see it? I mean, you could sand, but then again, I don't want to spend that much time jerking around sanding and doing manual labor because I'm lazy. I'm lazy in my old age. It's that balance between quality, speed, and I don't know, something else. What are the three things? I can't remember what it was. It was the three things that you get. That would be 17 hours, 18 hours. Still, $8.99. Gotta love it. So, anyway, so that's what we got going on. So no, I'm not going to save any changes. Transfer, yes. I'll save that. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got going on. So currently printing out the Ripper rifle, which is, I wanted to show you the Ripper rifle. Printables. And border, come on. Borderlands Ripper mask. Oh, well, there's the pistol. And then here is the rifle. So I want to show you all the Borderlands, the pistol that I ended up doing. So here is seriously? There we go. So on printables, you get the Borderlands Unkept Herald pistol. This is by DSK001. And again, that's all free files and stuff like that, but you can see that's it right there. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. Kind of the same thing. It is the same thing. I just got to do that one piece. But yeah, I mean, we'll do some cool stuff like that. Again, I want to put more color in it, like brown, parts of brown for the pistol handle. We'll do some silver on there so we can get some contrast. We'll do some of the racing stripes up top, kind of like that, the yellow stripe lines and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do some distressing on there and some wear, so we'll probably do some washes on that. But I think it really needs some silver in there for the cylinder. And different, the trigger can be silver. Flashlight could probably still be black. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. And then the rifle that I'm printing out is this one right here. And this is also the Borderlands one. The AR rifle from Borderlands 4. And there you can see that's going to come out pretty cool as well. So if we take a look at that baby there. So that should be a cool looking, I think that looks pretty cool. So the wife is going to get the pistol, I'm going to get the rifle. But I think that's going to turn out pretty good. Most of this is printed out. I'm doing the second plate now. So, and it's going to be in Polymaker PLA matte white. So you can find this stuff on printables from the Borderlands. So yeah, they've got the mask. They've got that Borderlands 4. That is a massive rifle. I thought about doing that, but that is just huge. I mean, that is a big, big gun. And do I have time before Halloween? Yes, but I wanted to go something a little bit easier. So that's why I opted for this one here. But that's still a good size rifle. So I think that'll be good. And yeah, you can find that stuff there. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Loving the 3D printing stuff. I really enjoy it. I like the painting and getting the processing, doing larger prints. And then, of course, the wife and I are going to be going around in our ripper mask. She's going to have the one that's going to be red. I'll make her one with red, and then I'll be the blue. And then, we'll have she'll have the pistol, I'll have the rifle. We'll kind of dress up kind of scruffy, and then we'll kind of go walk around on Halloween here in Korea. They have a festival or a fair, and then a bunch of people dress up and stuff like that. So kind of like cosplay. So I thought that would be kind of cool to do. And that reminds me, I have the eyes that I want to do on this. Zombie says 3D printing is so cool and addicting. Yes, it's like crack. It's like meth. You do a little bit, and next thing you know, that's what your life revolves around. So you know that better than me. But yeah, so the cool thing that I wanted to end up doing, there's people that have like screens and stuff like this, and they put like LEDs, and I thought, well, maybe we can do that. But I was wondering how I wanted to do this slot for the eyes, because really, when you look at it, just kind of going around like this, I mean, this is okay, but you can still see the eyes, and it's kind of like, I want something that you can't see my eyes. And I think there's some anonymity that comes into play that makes that really cool. So what I ended up doing is getting some window screen repair stuff. So it's just like a plastic little window screen stuff. And then I had some privacy film for windows. So you can see it's like silver on one side and then like that. And you can see how, when the light hits it, you're not able to see in. And so it's going to be kind of like this, or it can be kind of like this. So I haven't decided on that, but what I wanted to do is to put this on there like that, if you can get that going. And so you get that kind of thing. So, and then put that in the mask. If I can hold this so y'all can see. And so the mask would turn out like that, which I think would be really cool. And then, if I wanted to, I could 3D print and then glue a little eye piece on that. So yeah, I think that would turn out pretty good. And whether it's silver or the bronze side, let's see what that would look like. So just hot glue that little mesh in there, and then let's see what this would look like. And then here's what the bronze would, if I can hold this. Don't you love live streaming? And there's the kind of the bronze look. So a little bit of a different, so you got the silver or kind of like the bronze. I'm not sure which one is better. I kind of like the bronze myself because it kind of ties in with the color of the mask, but it's pretty reflective and you can see through it. And then the silver is nice too, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. I think I'll do the bronze on mine, and then I'll ask the wife and see what color she likes on hers, because with hers it could be the silver. I mean, that looks really good too. I don't know. Put it in the comments section. Which one do you like better? The bronze? I'm like that there. See kind of the bronze, and you can kind of see through that, or the silver. So, but yeah, like the video, then put bronze, or like the video and put silver, and let me know what you think. Mix the two. Yeah, that looks really good. And then the bronze looks darker. Yeah, it kind of ties into the mask more, but then the silver is more contrasting. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was like, hey, how can I do a cool looking thing? And then the the window screen thing. Let's see how this would look in the. I can't wait to get this one painted for the wife. Again, there's kind of the bronze. Of course, I got to hold this up, and I feel like. So kind of I kind of like the bronze. Zombie says he likes the bronze as well. And then there's the silver. But the silver's not bad either. I don't know. We'll let the wife decide on what she wants to do with hers. So we'll see what she chooses. But definitely going to go with the red on hers. And yeah, this is going to go so much quicker than mine. And we'll do the same type of. I might add some additional lines, like black lines around the edges, and to kind of highlight it a little bit more to define the lines, and maybe some lines down here to kind of do a little bit more of the cell shading stuff. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that one's definitely going to go a lot quicker than the previous one. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Let's see. Currently, like I said, we're printing out the rifle and that one pistol part. And we can take a look at that and see where we are at on the printing. Maybe. Camera's not coming up. Let's refresh. There we go. So let's take a look and I'll show you. Boom. There we go. Failed, try it again. But those are the parts there. And again, I'm using the Polymaker PLA, matte white PLA. So I think that stuff's turning out pretty good. It's almost like the camera on the Creality K2 Plus. It's in color, but it's almost not in color. I really wish they just put a higher quality web camera in these machines. That would be so much nicer. But there's the pistol part, is that right there. That's the last little pistol part. And then the rest of that is all for the rifle to finish up. So get out or glue and go to town, gluing that thing together. So yeah, good stuff. We're having fun with the 3D printing. Definitely doing that. It's got a lot more time left on that, supposedly. So here it says 9 hours and 10 minutes are left on that. I want to see on my app. Remaining time 9 hours and 10 minutes. So yeah, it ends up it's 50% done. And the cool thing about this app is that you can show the print, you can change some of the settings and the printing parameters. I've got it set at 100% speed, which I could set it at 125%, but that's only going to knock off like an hour, maybe 2 hours, and there's really no big need to do that. But the app is pretty cool. I like this because you can start prints, you can find stuff online, you can print while you're not at home. So that's kind of a cool thing. So yeah, I like my Creality K2 Plus. but still looking at possibly getting another printer. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then the ideas that Zombie Hunter had before for like that island that my K2 Plus is sitting on, taking out those shelves and everything, you do some little adjustments, and I'd be able to fit a second printer in there down below, whether it's another K2 Plus or Bamboo H2S, you know. And but then the other I mean, are you guys and gals interested in the I don't know if there's any gals, but if some gal is watching this, but would it be do you think it would be prudent to wait until multi-head printers come out, like what is that, Snapmaker U1, or the Index from the Index coil heads that are going to be used with I think it's a Prusa printer, to be able to just do hot swap, boom and go, you know, without having doing a lot of purges, because you have like 5 heads, and then you'd have 5 filaments, and then, you know, your purge is minimal. You don't have to waste so much. Kind of like what the Bamboo H2D with the 2 heads, except they'll have multiple heads. And they're coming out with a multi-head printer as well. So, but is that really... I guess if you did multicolor or multi-material printing, it might be worth doing. But I'm kind of on the edge of that, because I don't think I would do multi-material printing or multicolor printing. I think I'm just going to do some cosplay stuff. But then again, there's people that have printed this out where they've done the black, they've done, you know, kind of like a tan or an off-white or whatever, and then the colors, they're able to print that out, and boom, the majority of your paintwork is done. So that could be time saving as well. So I'm not sure. But then you have to get multiple colors for specific prints, and I don't know if I want to go through that. I think it'd probably, for right now, I'm just into get the Polymaker PLA matte color, black or white, and just call it a day, and just continue using that. So, but I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. There's no rush. So, Zombie Hunter says, any new printer that takes time to work out bugs. That's why I never got around to a new printer straight out the gate. I wait around 12 months before looking at them. And usually that's what I end up doing. When I was doing firearms and gear and all that stuff, I know I had some buddies that would buy guns brand new as soon as they came out. And a few of my friends got screwed because some guns just, didn't work out. And I'm kind of the same way. Let other people be the beta testers, usually. But then I got the K2 Plus, but then it was out long enough and people had done enough reviews and they had done enough firmware updates to where I was comfortable in that. So, but yeah, right out of the box, brand new, like first run, I won't do that. I'll wait until I see people doing reviews, because I mean, look at the you have printers that came out. The company said, "Oh, we got the next best thing to slice bread, and our printer is the end all be all of production or printing or speed or efficiency, quality, whatever." And funny how you've got influencers and YouTubers who did all the hype for these companies, like the Airy One X400. Remember that one? And it's the huge 400 cube printer, and it's awesome. And it's like, wait a second, you got 3D printed parts in there, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Prusa does that, but it just, I don't know. There were so many claims, and I've done videos on Airy One, and their past printers were shit. They were crappy, and some influencers got machines, and I'm pretty sure those were custom made for the influencers. And then their Kickstarter finished, and then we haven't heard jack. And there is no YouTuber or influencer that is still using the X400 because it is so awesome. But you see people with Bamboo, You see people with Prusa and you see people with Crealities that, are like, hey, I didn't think I'd like this, but now this is my daily driver printer. But you don't see that with the X400. Nobody is continuing to, no YouTubers that reviewed those things and gave them glowing reviews are still using the X400. It's like they did their 1 or 2 video deal and boom, you never see it again. They go back to the tried and true, the Bamboo, the Prusas, the, even Soval or whatever. You get some printers that are definitely quality, but you never see some of those things again. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. It's kind of like, let's just wait and see, And even if it's a good printer, you still usually have to wait for a bunch of firmware upgrades and updates to come out. So, again, it's like, I don't want to mess with any BS. Why isn't this working? You're waiting on a firmware upgrade or update. I just don't want to do that. Let's see. Zombie says, until a company has been around for a few years and has proven themselves, I stay away from them. Yeah, I agree. So, and that's why I took a gamble on the K2 Plus, is that it had been out long enough. But then I was really hesitant because of their K1 series that, they claimed to be all metal hot end and stuff, and it really wasn't. And, they made the claim 10,000 clog-free hours with their all metal hot end construction, and then they sent their machines out to influencers and YouTubers, and they took apart the hot end. They said, hey, there's a lot of plastic in here. And then it's like, how can you advertise 10,000 clog-free hours with an all-metal hot end when all the pieces are not metal? The gears weren't all metal. They're plastic and metal combination and so on and so forth. So how can you make that claim? And I did a series of videos on that, and I contacted Creality, and that just put a bad taste in my mouth because it took them a long time to take that claim off of their website. And then even then on their Amazon page, they still had that claim. And so I contacted them again. I'm like, hey, you don't have an all metal hot end. The people you sent machines to proved that. And you changed your website, but you didn't change it on your Amazon page. And then it took them months and months for even them to change it on the Amazon page. So Zombie says, even Bamboo, when they came out, I waited 2 years to see how the company went and how their customers felt running their printers. Wow, yeah. But back then, Bamboo was the risk. It was like, whoa, they're making some claims that, almost seemed too good to be true, but it came to pass. They were all that in a bag of chips. So, yeah, George says that is scummy as hell. Yeah, and that's why I was kind of hesitant to get the K2 Plus, because I was like, I waited until there were enough reviews, and I saw that, okay, I think they know what they're doing, and I think the K2 Plus is definitely a lot better than their older machines. So yeah, that's why I took a gamble on that. But it was either going to be that or the Bamboo, but then Bamboo and their closed ecosystem, hey, we don't send a bunch of your information, but they ended up doing and lying to people. Yeah, that didn't put that wasn't a good taste in my mouth. I wasn't going to swallow that. But with the H2S, that's the printer that I think everybody wanted. So that's a possibility. But you're still looking at about, what, $1,500 for the H2S. But we'll see what happens. But the good thing is, with the multi-head printers coming out, hopefully that H2S will come down in price. So, and that is very tempting to buy. I like the quick swap nozzle. I think if Creality needs to get on board with a quick swap nozzle type of thing, otherwise, that would be a great thing to do. But really, to switch out the nozzle, you're looking at removing, what, 4 screws, 2 screws, boom, replace. Well, the nozzle, you can just unscrew that, but replace the hot end on it, You're talking about what, maybe 4 screws on there, whoop-de-doo. How often are you going to do that? For me, not too often. So I like the quick swap nozzles with the Creality. I know people were having a lot of problems with that, and they were cross-threading it and ruining it, so they'd have to buy a new hot end. But really, they would just put it in there and start screwing, and then they'd mis-thread, and then they'd force it, and then they strip the screws out. Well, what you end up doing is you put that hot end in there. You don't screw it up tight like that. You go the opposite direction, counterclockwise, until it seats in there, kind of sets in there. Then you slowly do that. That's something I learned in, doing electronics and stuff like that a while back. So that isn't a big deal. But you just got to be careful. But people just throw that thing in there and start screwing and it's hard. Let me put more force, and then you strip out the screws. And so, yeah, some stuff you have to be delicate with. But Bamboo does have that quick swap nozzle is nice. I got to admit it's nice. But in the grand scheme of things, how often are you going to switch out your nozzles? And is it enough to warrant buying Bamboo? I don't know. But let's see, yeah. So maybe the H2S, that's something I'm thinking about. Maybe another K2 Plus. But with all these multi-head systems coming in, I'm kind of holding off with the hopes that Creality will come out with something, other companies come out with something. So these larger build area printers will come down in price with the new models coming out. So we'll see how that goes. George says, so far, Anycubic has treated me well when I have had any questions for them. They were right on it, and that was a nice thing. Yeah, that is nice. I know some people were complaining about Creality because Creality is based in China, and so there's that huge time difference. And I really think if they had a U.S. office, or they had people that operated on U.S. time and spoke and knew English a little bit better than what they do, that would definitely help their cause. But Anycubic, did they have a large-scale printer? I'm not sure. Anycubic. Let's pull that up and take a... They have the Cobra S1, which they've got that. And yes, we're going to select the United States. And they have the S1. They have the Cobra 3 Max, Cobra V3, but the Cobra S1. Ooh, the Cobra S1 came down in price. Let's take a look at this and see. Used to be $750, now it's $460. Save $290? Holy crow. What's the build area on that? Is that like that weird 270, whatever it was? 250 by 250, so it's 250 cubed. Okay, it's not too bad. Hot end speeds, colors. George says, I'm looking at after Christmas getting the steel nozzle. Yeah, that should be like steel nozzle, printer, dryer, 2-in-1. That is nice. Got your filament feeder, fully enclosed. That's interesting. New arrivals. Filament printers. So the S1 combo, $459, $460. Remember how I was talking about, we were talking about the tariffs, and when the tariff war thing came out, everybody was like, oh no, oh my gosh, it's going to double the price of machines. Prices are going down. So they must have a big enough profit built into these things that they can do that and not have to worry about those tariffs. George says it's $16 on their website for the steel nozzles. 460 bucks. Wow. They have the Cobra V3, which I wouldn't get. I would want an enclosed printer just in case I wanted to print something of higher temperature, and the fact that enclosed printers are a little bit quieter. But then the Max, ooh, there's that one there. Cobra 3 Max is 420 by 420 by 500. That's 450 bucks. Holy crow. Wow. Tempting, tempting. 10th anniversary sale, up to $400 off. Let's get back onto that. Ends in 4 days. 460 bucks. Wow. That is it. George says, I got the combo and a second ace unit. Man, that's tempting as well. That is really tempting. Cool. You got a great score there, man. Great score. And it's getting to the point now where they're working. You know, it used to be you were taking a gamble doing 3D printing. And way back in the day, when I first was exposed to 3D printing was actually when I worked in prisons, because they had a number of ender machines, and they were making casts for people. A business was making casts. They'd scan the person's arm, and they do that weird cast thing, and then they'd do the vapor smoothing. I think they were made out of ABS or ASA or whatever it was, and then that was my first experience. But trying to dial all those things in, and the paper, and doing the bed leveling, that was absolutely crazy hard to do. But eventually, once you get it done, but now you buy a printer out of the box, 15 minutes later, you're printing. You know, that is the cool thing. George says the filament backup and dryer comes in handy. Yeah. I like that 2-in-1 dryer, CFS, filament, Huzi Ace machine thing that they got going on. Multi-material system. You got 2 of those. Man, you could do some long prints. Definitely. And it dries it. I mean, why didn't Creality do that with their CFS? I just don't get it. Throw a little heater in there, boom, you're done. So there's that. But yeah, definitely looking at that, considering that, and then what was the other one? Let's look at Creality and see what they got going on. Take a look and see what sales they have. 16 color printing, sale, trade-in program, combo offers, 3D printers, K2 Pro Combo, K2, I want the K2 Plus. I don't know if I do the CFS. I think I just get the K2 Plus, since I like that. And this comes out to $1,000. So that dropped in price as well. So it dropped $200. And people are saying, oh, tariffs are bad. 3D printing is going to be so expensive. Some of the bigger drops I've seen is when we had these tariff things going on. So I don't know, but yeah, I replaced the side holder, spool holder there with a longer one, so I do 2.5 kilos with that Polymaker stuff. And if I'm just doing cosplay, I don't need a CFS. But it would be nice to have the dryer. So yeah, $1,000. With a CFS, it's 354. So you know, that's not bad. 4 CFSs, you're looking at $2,000. Call it Unicorn Quick Swap Nozzle. It's okay. It's not that quick. But yeah, so I'm thinking about that, but I kind of want to wait and see what other 3D Not the high series. The Ender 5 Max. Because that's a big build area one. 750, and that's like a, what is that, a 400? 400, yeah, cube build area. But it's a different hot end than the K2 Plus, which but that's tempting as well. But it's kind of loud because it's not an enclosed system. So they have an enclosure for $129. So if you did all that, that ends up $878. Could be doable. Not bad, not bad. Thinking about that. Let's see, scanners, printers, engravers, materials, accessories, purifiers, upgrade kit, general reuse, spare parts. This is some new stuff. New arrivals. I wonder if that's it. Protective cover. Ender. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. George says a pawn shop down the road has the Elegoo Orange Storm Giga, not for sale, just on display. Wow, that thing was rough when it came out. The Giga, when I saw that, and the initial videos for the Giga Storm, the Orange Giga Storm by Elegoo, I was like, no. I understand what you're trying to do, but no. The fact that they had 4 PEI plates kind of like welded together, I knew that was janky. I knew that was just, and so many problems with that. I don't even know if anybody uses that anymore. George says Prusa is starting to build printers in the U.S. Really? What? Really? Prusa building printers in USA. Really? I got to check that out. That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. That would be. I gotta check that out. I think that would be huge for Prusa. I mean, Prusa's huge already to begin with. Wow. And I think that's what, just for the customer service and technical support, that would be huge, especially for Western countries, especially the United States and everybody kind of within that same time zone or close to it. I think that would be huge. I think that's what companies like Creality and Bamboo need to do as well. Especially Creality, have technical support that is based in the United States. Have some people there, boom, let them get their visas, the whole 9 yards, get better customer support and people who speak English. I know when I had some issues with my K2 Plus, doing the email thing, and even though you have automatic translation and all that, there's still something lost in translation. And you try, no, that's not going to work because of this, and this, and they just kind of go through their checklist, and the English is limited, and that's problematic. So, but yeah, Prusa building printers in the U.S. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. That Ender 5 Max enclosure is $130. That would be interesting. And that's the enclosure, Ender 5, Ender 3, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say Ender 5 Max on that one. But yeah, that would be nice. I would definitely want to have an enclosed printer, and the fact that I live in an apartment, people above us, below us, people on the other side, doesn't really matter because there's so much space and there's a hallway and the elevator in between our unit and the other unit. So I wouldn't, but just for being in the apartment right now, yeah, I'd want something that would have an enclosure. So that's another reason why I didn't get that Ender 5 Max. And my thinking is either I'm going to get the Bamboo H2S because they just do a really good job at printing. Might get the K2 Plus, which would be nice because then spare parts, I just need to get spare parts from one company. So that kind of makes sense in that aspect. But the H2S, that's a pretty good printer. So, and I thought about the XL, the Prusa XL, but it seemed to have a lot of problems when it first came out, and those problems kind of like took a long time to resolve. And even now, it's like, and it's the enclosure looks funky. It just, and I probably only get like 2 tool heads, maybe just one. But I just didn't see that. I didn't feel it. It didn't give me the warm fuzzy deep inside. So I'm happy with what I have right now. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's what we got going on. We still got a long time to go on our print. And we still got successful print. We got an 8 hours and 42 minutes. For those of you who don't know, I'm retired here in Korea, and they have Korean Thanksgiving, which starts today. Actually, it started yesterday, but it's officially, we're doing our meal and everything today. We're going to get with the wife's family. Tons of food and beer and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people and noise. I don't know how much of that I'll be able to take. But we'll have a good time doing that. And then recover tomorrow. Of course, I'll be going back to the gym and doing that. But yeah, kind of the holidays for the next week. I think Chuseok is like 9 days, 8 or 9 days this year. So a lot of Koreans are off, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of family. So yeah, we're going to be a little busy. But yeah, we'll take a few days to have some meal and eat with folks, eat with the peeps, as the young people say. And then we'll continue on doing the printing thing. So, yeah. With that, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. That would be probably the best thing that you could do for me if you get anything out of this. I know people like George and Zombie Hunter and Ferrithus, and, we got a number of Sultan and a number of other people that frequent the channel. I really appreciate that. The liking the video, subscribing, and try to continue to grow the channel. It's a hobby. It's something I do now. So I just hope I can bring some value. And I like the value that you all bring to the channel as well. So with information in the prints that you do, Zombie Hunter's got some awesome stuff. I need to step up my game. So we're working towards that end. So anyway, with that being said, I'm starving. It's like 10:25 here, and I haven't had breakfast. I only had coffee and water, so I'm getting hangry. So we're going to go ahead and cut this video. With that being said, again, the obligatory outro, email me. I'll answer you. Coffee, people who bought me coffee is awesome. Link in the description. But the best thing that you can do is like the video. So if you like the video, please like the video. And we'll continue on. And when we do more painting on the other mask, and we do the final assembly of this thing here, and we do painting of this, so I'm hoping to do a video on that. And then the rifle, we've got that, and I want to try to get all this done before Halloween, because that's kind of the goal. So we'll see how that goes. So like George says, hopefully y'all have a good one. Zombie Hunter, everybody else, George, thanks for watching. I appreciate that. And we will see you all on the next video, because that's the plan and that's what we're going to do. So we'll see you. Peace. Printing. Y'all